Hey everybody, welcome back to another 10-minute Marvel video. I'm Petter, and today, in preparation for Daredevil Born Again finale coming out late on Tuesday, or I think for most people, you're going to watch it on Wednesday, I want to have the discussion of who is going to die. Now, the answer for that question might be nobody. There's not a need to kill off any character. I mean, when is there ever a need to kill off a character? But it seems fairly likely, I think, that someone's going to die. A chance to raise the stakes. If you're not caught up on Daredevil Born Again, I recommend skipping this video. I'm going to be talking about some spoilery type stuff. Also, I'm going to be talking a little bit about some things that are known for Season 2. And first off, let's start with some of the characters who maybe haven't been confirmed yet for Season 2. One of them is Cherry. Cherry is the ex-police officer, now kind of private investigator, willing to get his hands dirty, do like not always the best things in order to, well, keep the interests of Matt's law firm kind of in the right spot, as well as understanding that Matt is Daredevil. He makes a fair amount of sense to kill off. However, I don't know that we're super attached to him yet at this point. So, yes, you could kill him off, but I think the impact would be low. And I don't think this is a show where they really lean into like low impact killings or deaths. And that's why I also kind of put Matt's law firm partner in the same bucket, because I don't think she is a high impact death either, but definitely those two are kind of on the watch list. In particular, I think Cherry has a chance to bite it because Matt does use him for some questionable things. I don't know how that would put him, though, in harm's way of, say, Bullseye or the Anti-Vigilante Task Force or Frank Castle coming into this finale, because those are the ones who are most apt to kill somebody. Next up, we do have Daniel. Daniel, unfortunately, I think is fairly high chance of getting killed off, just because he is so obsessed with the idea of helping Wilson Fisk. And I think they knew they had a likable character on their hands. I don't know that they assumed people would like Daniel as much as they do. So I think out of all the characters I've said thus far, he's definitely the highest likelihood. And I'm going to follow up with another character, BB Urich, who I actually think is fairly low chance of her getting killed off. She seems like she should be a player and just another perspective of everything that's going on. Plus, there was the conversation with the police chief Gallo, or police commissioner Gallo, forget the exact title, and it seems like she's going to be continuing her investigation looking into Fisk and into the Vigilante Task Force as well. So I think she sticks around. But speaking of Gallo, I think there's a decent chance he could also be the one who gets killed off. If it comes out that to Officer Powell, that Gallo is betraying the police force or working with BB, I think he could end up kind of just leaning into his power-hungry nature, his god complex, and being like, oh, no, this is something that I don't like. I'm going to take care of Police Chief Gallo. And I think that could be, I think this could be a situation where that happens and Cole North now becomes kind of an informant against Fisk and against his group. Another possibility for a death would be Vanessa. At this point in time, I think that's fairly low. However, I don't believe her character has been confirmed yet for season 2. And I think it'd be interesting to have her killed. However, the fact that Bullseye went after Wilson makes me think that Bullseye thinks Wilson was the one who called in the hit on Foggy, who put him into general population, and has been trying to get him killed. Maybe he'll put it together that it's Vanessa and go after her, and that will create this new kind of like doubling and tripling down on deaths or on and the vigilante task force from Fisk, but I don't really see that, and it doesn't feel like the right time for it. I could see Vanessa dying, but maybe not until the end of season 2, to maybe push Fisk further down a path where maybe he steps out of being mayor to return to his position of power within the 7 families. So I'm not seeing her as a likely death. And there are some other kind of side characters in here. I don't think Jack Duquesne, the swordsman, is going to die. Frank Castle's not going to die. We know there's a special presentation coming. Matt Murdock's not going to die. Karen Page, I don't think is going to die. She's supposed to be back for the finale, and she's supposed to be in season 2. So, if we kind of eliminate all of those, the last kind of big person potentially to bite it, and I'm going to talk about, well, last 2 characters potentially to bite it. The first is Powell. I think that Powell probably does bite it in here. Maybe it's a situation where Daredevil kind of catches Powell in the act of something, and Powell, being power hungry, kind of god complex, tries to take out Daredevil, but he's no match for him. We've already seen that Powell is not really a match for Murdock. So it's going to be a situation where Matt gets the upper hand and maybe is struggling with what to do. And I talk about this in the podcast, where he's like, I want to kill this man. Probably because he's figured out that Powell was the one who killed Hector Ayala, White Tiger. And he's like, I want to kill this man. But Frank comes in at that moment. Punisher comes in at that moment. And he's the one who takes the shot. It allows Matt to have those feelings, but without actually killing somebody. So I do think there's a pretty good chance that Powell bites it. The other one is Heather Glenn. Now, Heather Glenn is supposed to be in season 2, which makes me think she won't bite it. And I don't like the idea of her being the death anyways for this, because the death in the finale anyways, because she was already almost the death in episode 7, and it would feel a little bit too repetitive for this show, where it's done a pretty good job of keeping you off balance. So if I were to kind of put some money on characters that I think are most likely to not survive this finale. I think the three most likely characters not to survive this finale are Cherry, because he could get put in harm's way. And as a former police officer, and seemingly one of the good ones, there would still be this mindset of protect. So I think he's very possible. I think Daniel is very possible as well, though he might end up not and being more of a political scapegoat. So actually, let's scratch that. I think Cherry, Gallo, and Powell are the three who I would say are the most likely not to survive the finale. Who do you think is most likely to bite it? Let me know that down in the comment section below. And if you enjoy this content, please give the video a thumbs up. Also, check out our thoughts on the penultimate episode and what to expect in, or what kind of we think could be happening in the finale on the 10-Minute Marvel podcast. You can find the podcast here on YouTube. Click onto the channel, subscribe if you haven't already, and we appreciate everybody who has and everybody who is checking out the videos. And then click that notification bell to know when new videos come out. Finally, click on that podcast tab and check out the podcast episodes. Or you can search for 10-Minute Marvel wherever you get your friendly neighborhood podcast from. But with that, we'll see you next time.